greetings to you from wherever you're watching us tonight. Thanks for joining us on the show. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Well, tonight on the show, we talk about the accolades pouring in for world record breaker Tunde Onakoya. We'll talk about him even as we move on the show. We'll talk about the drama in the English Premier League. Manchester City currently tearing Brighton apart as we speak. We'll talk about that. We'll look at what's happening with women's football in Nigeria. Nigeria Women's Football League gets our attention. We'll also talk about the guys. Then, of course, we'll talk about the English Premier League. We'll talk about Spanish football. Is in the news that, of course, Xavi Hernandez will remain as the manager of the Catalan Giants, talking about Barcelona. That's the outlook of the show today. As you already know, it's a two-man show. My colleague Onakoya is suited and ready. And, of course, we're taking this trip together.
It's quite a great cheers to you, Yemi, and of course everyone joining us on the show tonight. Still an action-packed world of sports and monitoring what's going on at the Amex Stadium between Brighton and Manchester City. Easy peasy work for Pep Guardiola's team. They are not smiling. 51st Premier League goal for youngster Phil Foden. He has gotten a brace in that 3-0 lead. Manchester City comfortably cruising away to victory. But hey, this is football where absolutely anything can happen. So let's wait to see what second half can produce, Yemi. All right.
Okay, so let me just quickly introduce our guest in the Lagos studio. Oluwadamiloju Saliu joins us now. Oluwadamiloju Saliu is an on-air personality. He works with CDFM. Damiloju, thanks for finding out time to be with us on the show tonight.
It's a pleasure. It's good to be on the show, and I can't wait to get my teeth into all the things that you have teased. It's going to be a fantastic one.
All right, I don't know. Let's just start from what's going on. I don't know if anything has changed. Before we came into the studio, It was already 3-0 half-time. Not making any excuses for Brighton. If you're a small side and you have 12, 11 first-team players already injured and you're playing against Manchester City, what should we expect?
I think we should expect Manchester City, especially at this stage of the season where they are so good at churning out results. I saw a stat just before we came into the studio that Manchester City have only drawn one of their last 13 Premier League matches in April. So you know that once the league is getting a lot closer, Manchester City know how to get it done. We've seen them do it time and time again, and that's why Phil Foden has had 2 goals to go with Kevin De Bruyne. I think for De Zerbi and his boys, he has to sit them down at halftime and just tell them, you know what, let us not make it as bad as what Chelsea suffered at the end of Arsenal.
Right, damage limitation. Damage has broken the hearts of a lot of people who feel City will slip up. Looking at the stats, hearing the stats, it usually doesn't happen in April. Well, Austin is the man who will be looking to with us, but of course, will telling us what's happening. Your thoughts before we move on to other things. It looks like it's going to be worse for Brighton.
Yeah, it's looking so, particularly, I mean, when you're considering slippery goals. The third goal was a complete mess. They were trying to touch the ball around in defense, and a City, who is so good with the covering and the pressing game, stole the ball. Phil Foden had to just, finish that one easy, and Kevin De Bruyne with the opener. Strangely, we hardly see Kevin De Bruyne score with his head, and he did just that with the opener, and he liked it, when he was celebrating with his teammates. So I was saying on a platform before I came on air that if Brighton can pull one back, maybe, just maybe, we might see some drama, but that didn't happen. Halftime, Brighton 0, Manchester City 3. I don't see how they're going to come back. City now understands that for them to, take pressure off themselves on this title race, they must, win their outstanding matches, and they're doing just that already,
All right, they're doing just that. All right, let's come home now and talk about what's been the news. Been celebrated all over the world. Amazing feat achieved by Tunde Onakoya. And, of course, he's been getting the accolades. Of course, was well received in Lagos. And, of course, yesterday met with the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. I want to quickly get your thoughts on what he has achieved, Guinness World Record triumph, and just like the president said, not just the record alone in itself, but the intention behind going for the records. And you can't argue with anybody who believes that the noise this is generating is well deserved?
I think it's an absolutely amazing feat that Tunde has been able to achieve as someone who is a chess player, who is not in any way remotely close to his ability. I really understand the severity of what he had to go through. Chess is a game that requires extreme concentration and calculation. And the funny thing was, the night that he set the world record, I think it was about 3 a.m. Nigerian time, I was trying to stay awake to see him cross the 60-hour mark, and I couldn't stay awake. I fell asleep. Now imagine the man who is playing the chess. It was fantastic.
And winning all the games.
And winning all the games, he did not get to lose. Then, like you said, not only is he doing this amazing feat, he said it after the whole event that he's not doing it for himself. It is to raise money and to bring awareness for impoverished children and children that don't have the opportunity to get education in Africa. A lot of people might not know this. Even though he has not played chess officially in about 6 or 7 years, he's still in the top 25 when you talk about Nigerian ratings for chess players. And I'm so excited. Now when you talk about chess, when you talk about Nigeria and Nigerian chess, he has put us on the map. And more importantly, because of what he has done, millions of children right here in Nigeria and Africa will have an opportunity at a better life.
All right, he has used his skill to spotlight the children. He has brought their plight to the fore, and now nobody can feign ignorance. And all the big wigs, all the people in authority going around with him now, I have no excuse. They have to do something. I mean, pictures on your screen, how it was received. The drums came out. People on top of their voices singing, appreciating what he has done. And just like many Nigerians do all over the world, they just bring Nigeria, give us global recognition. I could go on and on, but Austin, it brings us back to what we say about the power of sports.
That's right. It has the power to transform lives. And that's what Tunde Onakoya hopes to do. Yemi is hoping to raise $1 million in pounds. That's about 805,000 pounds for charity to support chess education for millions of children, you know, and that's what makes this laudable. That's what makes it important. That's why everyone, just about everyone that can support Tunde Onakoya should support him because of, you know, what he's trying to do, support children through chess. He's been doing it with Chess Islam. He has gone on to break the Guinness World Record. After playing for about 58 hours, he was still willing to go on. That's phenomenal right there, and I'm glad that they're using sports to tell a beautiful story, because we keep saying that it goes beyond competition all the time. This guy's got a dream. He wants to impact life. He wants to help young children. And he said, look, I've got a gift. I can play chess. But I can't get the world talking about me. I can break the world record. And if I do just that, now I've got a platform. I'll use it to raise $1 million and support young children.
All right, that's phenomenal. We could go on and on, but I'm happy the children.
Yeah.
We don't even know the amount of children that will benefit from this, but it's just mind-blowing.
Yes, it is. As someone who was exposed to the game before I became a teenager, I understood how influential and how impactful it was for my social skills, as well as how you're able to think, how you're able to problem solve, how you're able to make decisions, how you're able to balance scale of preference. Okay, which of these routes is better to take? And more importantly, we have a lot of people who just need the opportunity. I've been following some of the stories of some of these children that came from the Chess Islam programs. Some of them are now web developers. They've gone on to become very, very amazing members of society simply because one man had one dream. I think it's a very big charge to the rest of us, both individuals and the corporate body, that this is a wonderful initiative. You need to put a lot of support into this.
Let me throw this back to Austin as well. I've been growing up, Damlo just talked about it, but there is this perception, wrong. I know it's wrong now that we see, oh, it's an elitist sport and all that. You have to have some level of intelligence to do all of this. This has broken barriers. And look, chess in slums took chess to places where you say, oh, this ones can't play chess. Yeah. And it broke barriers, and we're seeing all of that happen. What else can we say? This is just laudable. And it just, again, power of sports, the only thing stopping you is you. Once you put your mind to do things, you get to do them. And I'm very happy that barriers are broken. I mean, that's just the underlining achievement for me. Barriers broken, proving that, look, there are a lot of things we can do if we set our minds to it.
I love it, Yemi. I love the beautiful story we're telling using sports. And we keep saying it, that sports can be used as a tool for social cohesion. I'm the guy who is always telling people about the power of sports to transform lives. If there's one word that is used all over the world today to champion change, it is inclusion. And that's what Tunde Onakoya did with chess. That's inclusivity. It took chess to the slums. It took chess to where, that's it. In fact, that was why I never got to play chess. I thought it was so much of an intellectual sport. You need to be high up there with your level of thinking. This man took chess to the slums. He gathered young kids who don't have the best of education and empowered them through chess. That's what I'm talking about, and each time we use sports to tell people that impossible is nothing. I love it. I love it so much. And we can go on and on and on and on. All those guys saw first was Tunde Onakoya, and then he had a chess board. And then he started bringing out everything and said, look, if you do this, this will happen, that will happen. And today, that has also empowered Tunde Onakoya to break the world record. You see how it just keeps going and going and going. And now he wants to promote more inclusivity by raising $1 million for young children and promote chess education. That's what I'm talking about. I love that we're doing our bits as the media to talk about it. We're promoting it, we're telling people about Tunde Onakoya now. Hopefully we'll get him to come on television to tell this beautiful story. I love the way Nigerians are supporting him. I saw Davido go out there when he was playing. I saw Nigerian cultural heritage on display. Nigerians, we know how to support our own. Now we know the objective why Tunde went on that quest. He wants to raise money. Let's also support him and make sure that that objective is achieved. And maybe someday, a child will come up and say the beautiful story of how Tunde Onakoya's story transformed his life. Muhammad Ali, God rest his soul, was just in the city of Louisville where the blacks didn't have a say, was just walking around and went in somewhere and saw people teaching kids how to box, and his story changed. Rafael Nadal saw kids picking up rackets and play tennis, and his story changed. Tunde Onakoya has done it with a chessboard. What we need to do is when these guys become superstars, let's make sure that they remain champions.
All right, let's do just that, and hopefully it will turn out exactly the way we want. All right, let's switch gears now and go to athletics. Lagos is set for the athletics school games as our next port of call. As you can see on your screen, Yaba College of Technology will come alive on April 27th as 15 schools across Lagos State vie for honors at the athletics school games. The founder of the athletics school games, Sheon Akibo, said the tournament has been sanctioned by the Lagos State Athletics Association with the sole aim of elevating youth athletics in the country. And of course, you will have school students compete in 60 meters, 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 meters, 800 meters, shuttle relay, 4x100 meters, 4x400, long jump, short, of course, shot put and shuttle throw. These are the games the young ones will participate in. And I'm really excited because of the potentials this can really get to give the country. Let's take some reactions. Damloju is with me. He will be sharing his thoughts on this laudable event.
I'm hoping that this would have impact and a lasting legacy. One of the things that I feel like we can do better as a society in general is to develop people from when they're young, and not just assume that somebody wakes up and turns 16 years old and they're ready to go to the Olympics. Why don't we start from when they're 5, when they're 4? We're hoping that as we start on this journey, we will then look into more training, we will look into more competitions, we'll look into more collaborations as well to see how we can move to see how we can move track and field events forward.
If we have one every week, it's all the better. Because in more developed countries like the US, the kids travel every week, even from high school, to compete in one place or the other. And it's about time that we start building that culture into our kids, so that the athletics becomes part of them, becomes a lifestyle, and then the only person that benefits in the long run, the only entity that benefits in the long run is Nigeria as a nation. We churn out thousands and thousands of top-class athletes.
With this platform, we would be able to nurture the athletic spirit in children, and would also be able to build future outlets and hopefully even build like a very long list of Olympians.
All right. At the very essence of this is discovery. Then, of course, you go on to nurture.
Yeah.
Then, of course, look at them. So, reactions there. I mean, gold medalist Nephew Kudo
Yes.
there, of course, showing the support that Lagos is giving. But what was your immediate reaction? Off camera, I was telling you, and you were nodding your head. Growing up, there's always this desire as young kids. If it's either it's table tennis, it's athletics, it's football, without any particular structure.
Yeah.
But the things you see around you encourage you to want to do those things. Then everything just disappeared.
It's interesting that you mentioned this. If you ask the average child, especially, I'm even saying generally, they didn't have to go to any academy to play football. It just happened. You were born into an environment that facilitated that. And it's so sad to see that we've moved away from that culture. We're just talking about a potential world record holder once that is ratified in Onakoya. We have another one in Oluwatobiloba Amuson, who has been a beacon of light for Nigerian sports. And we know how excited everyone was. A lot of work went into that. That is why I'm very, very excited by this initiative, because a lot of things. Austin mentioned the likes of Rafael Nadal, the likes of Muhammad Ali. These people start on time and they get a head start on the rest of the competition. Now we're looking at it and we realize that, okay, there's a deficit when you talk about our production line. Let us go back to the source. And I have to say a very huge shout out to Lagos State for supporting this initiative. Now we'll get to see people who are hungry from a young age. There's the natural talent. We know Nigerians are blessed with talent. Now we need to discover them and fine-tune them so that by time the older ones are leaving the scene, it will become a smooth transition. We have those who are ready to take over.
And also, my thoughts is, if you do these tiny drops of water, before everything begins to come together, you might have an ocean. We should stop relying on athletes developed by other countries. You're looking at a sporting event, you see somebody who looks like he has a Nigerian name, and you want to force the person to come and represent us. If we do these things and we're serious with it, it will trickle down and get to a point where we don't stumble on success, because that's what we've always been doing. We stumble. Right. That is why we always find it very hard to replicate.
That's right. I totally agree with you. We must give attention to the foundation, to the base, the grassroots, the schools, and I completely agree. I mean, that when you do this, you're not just discovering talent, you're giving the future a solid foundation. You are also contributing to the system. You're promoting sports and education. And that's what we try to do also, remember, with the channel's classics. We always let people know that at the level, if you take sports to the schools, whenever you meet a talent, you put a benchmark that for you to excel in sports, you must be doing well in school. We've seen it time and time again. We see some ex-internationals and we shake our heads because of the condition that they find themselves. After this talent, what's next when your body cannot go on again? You need to fall back to something. That's Enelfio Kudobog. He's educated. That's why he's still relevant. He's an Olympian. He's a gold medalist. But look at him still contributing to the mix because he's solid up there, and also with his talent. He's not running anymore. But now he's a technical director because of the understanding that is God. We must continue to preach this, because if we take sports to the schools and kids get to understand that with my talent, I'm a star. But when I combine education to it, I become a superstar. And when my talent is not functioning again, I'm still relevant because I'll become a role model to kids that are upcoming. So it's very, very important. And when we do this and give proper attention to the grassroots, then we don't have to go and start looking at who is doing so well at one collegiate system in America, or who is doing so well in Europe, that will now start trying to meet their parents to talk to them. Look at young talents. I can see now these kids are running. But look at it, look at the infrastructure. So government must come together. Everybody must say, look, it's not just about the talent. It's holistic. It's 360 degrees branding. Technology must be in place. Infrastructure must be top-notch. Welfare must also be good. We must have trained trainers in the schools. Physical education should be proper. Games masters should also understand the sports. parents should also know what's going on and know when to support their kids. You see, everyone is involved. Austin and Yemi, they're in the media. They need to promote it, talk about it. Enough of those guys playing in Arsenal, Chelsea, and Manchester United. Let's talk about that talent from the school who is doing exploits, and we're waiting for him to announce himself to the world. Before he does it, let's start telling people, we know of one guy who is coming. Work with the Lagos State Athletics Association. We love what they are doing. Ask them questions. Are you doing it the right way? Is it going to be one-off? How do you monitor these talents? What are the things you put in place to ensure that the technicalities are respected? It's holistic. It's long-term planning. But I'm glad that we're doing this, and hopefully we'll keep it going and continue to contribute to grassroots sports development in Nigeria. Let's go on this quick break. When I'll come back, I'll give you updates coming from that game between Brighton and Manchester City. And I'm sure Yemi and Damilola cannot wait to let you know the teams that will compete in the NWFL Super 6. Don't go anywhere. Stay. Welcome back to Sports Tonight on your award-winning sports loving channels television, monitoring that game between Brighton and Manchester City. 62 minutes already played. It's still Brighton 0, Manchester City 3. I think Brighton had a chance that they tried to scrap for, but goalkeeper Ederson, dealt with it so well. I don't think Pep and his team would bottle this one tonight. So we'll continue to give you updates. Yemi, it's tough, but this is what it is. When City, when you give them a chance, they take it.
In Nigeria, you're in the UK, but let's break this to you. Brighton have conceded one more goal, so it's 4 now. I think it's all over.
It was over by halftime.
It was over at halftime.
It was over by halftime. I talked about how Manchester City become a formidable machine. They go to a next level. I think there was a season that they won about 18 consecutive Premier League games in the second half of the season. Brighton, for all the amazing plaudits that Roberto De Zerbi has been getting regularly, they've been a very, very leaky side. And it will now be 5 games that they've not been able to get a victory. The form is not good for the side right now.
All right, not good for the side right now. We'll see what happens. All right, let's talk about women's football. We'll start with the younger ones. Let's talk about the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup, the qualifier. That is coach of Nigeria's female Under-17 team has invited 25 players to camp. Talking about Coach Olowo-Kere. And of course, I'll just go across the screen and read out the names to you. Then, of course, Damilola will tell us what it feels about what the preparations has been. All right, all the invited players, of course, starting from the forwards, which is what you have on your screen. Edidion Etin, you have Yetunde Ayantosho, Hamani, Chidi, Kudirat, Arogudade, Ramota Karim, Aisha, Anima Shaun, Peace, Effiong. As expected, all of these girls ply their trade. Play in the domestic still have to play there because it's still very young. Anyway, all right. Midfielders: Taiwo Afolabi, Mary Aderemi, Ololade Isiaka, Farida Abdul Wahab, Shakirat Moshood, Ogene Mairo, Obrute, and Queen Joseph. The midfielders in the team. All right. So the defenders: Priska Nwachiku, Jumai Adebayo, Taiwo Adegoke, Oluwatoyin Olowo-Kere, Rakibat Aziz, Anna Ibrahim, Vivian Kezie, the defenders in the team that we told you is 25 players. Then goalkeepers: Christiana Uzoma, Elizabeth Boniface, Sylvia Echefu, Favor Edward. And of course, as you can see, the clubs they represent showing right there. Damilola, let me get your thoughts before I yield back to Austin. A lot of people do not agree with the way we've gone about these qualifiers. There's this, should I call it arrogance on our part? We believe we can still roll. And the appointments and everything, I don't know if you do, but word on the street, a lot of people feel the preparations has been shoddy, and there's some subtle arrogance with the way we attend to this qualifiers.
I don't necessarily disagree, but I think it is arrogance that you understand why it is there. If you look at the last round, we're able to absolutely bamboozle our opponents, and then overall in aggregate, we had over 10 goals. We're coming against a Burkina Faso side, yes, that we know that they were able to win both legs, but the truth of the matter is, when you talk about age grade competitions generally, Nigeria, both on the men and the women's side, especially at under 17 level, we are able to hold our head high. You're talking about these teams. A lot of these girls, I want to say ladies, they're girls, they ply their trade with teams that we're going to talk about shortly in the NWFL Premiership, and then they've gotten reasonable experience at a very, very competitive level. So I think that we need to be very wary. Burkina Faso are a side that can obviously hurt us, but from what I'm seeing from this 25 girl list, I don't have any problems whatsoever, and I expect us to make it to the final round of qualifiers without any hitches whatsoever.
All right, that melody said we're going to talk about the clubs some of these ladies represent as we move on. So let's move on and talk about the Super Six. Is our next port of call. We're reviewing the final games. I'm very sure Austin has a lot to say about some of the things. But there you have it, Group A results, final matches. Adamawa Queens was goalless with Royal Queens. Niger Rattles 3-0 victory over Abia Angels. Confluence Queens goalless with Nazara Amazons. Danas ladies defeated Heartland Queens 2-0. Group A is what you have. Let's flip and go to the next side in Group B. Bayelsa Queens, FC Robo Queens was 2-1 in favor of FC Robo Queens. Remo Stars ladies, 2-1 victory over Sunshine Queens, and that defeat was costly. We'll talk about why it was costly later on. Delta Queens, Edo Queens, we knew was always going to be close. It was close, ended 1-1. And of course, Ekiti Queens and Rivers Angels ended 2-0 in favor of Ekiti Queens. All right, so these are the results. Now, you know the top 3 teams go to the Super 6. The team that finishes at the bottom goes down. So in Group A, you have Nazara Amazons, Confluence Queens, Heartland Queens, has been decided a long time ago. And so after 14 matches, those top 3 teams go to the Super 6. Let's go to Group B, the next group. We always knew it was going to be tough, and it was tough. Had to be decided on the final day. Rivers Angels, Edo Queens, Bayelsa Queens, in that order, qualified for the Super 6. Sunshine Queens going down. And of course, you know, with the nature of the Super 6, just get there somehow, because when you get to the Super 6, it's a different ball game. So these are the 6 teams, just for confirmation, 6 teams. Nazara Amazons, Confluence Queens, Heartland Queens, Rivers Angels, Edo Queens, Bayelsa Queens, 6 teams that are through to the Super 6. And of course, going down, Royal Queens, Sunshine Queens are the relegated teams. Also, let me get your thoughts quickly on this one. Any surprises? We always knew Group B was going to be difficult, had to be decided on the final day.
Yeah, before I get into that, let me just put some flesh to that 4th goal scored by Manchester City. Julian Alvarez with his 9th goal of the season. Bright, they were contesting the build-up to the goal because Kyle Walker rammed into goalkeeper Jason Steele. So they were saying, go to VAR, go check it. But the referee thought that it was soft and let the goal stand. So it's still Brighton 0, Manchester City 4. Let's talk about the Nigeria Women's Football League. I love the fact that we knew it was going to be competitive, and yes, it was competitive. Group A concluded the way we wanted it to go, but Group B was definitely going to go to the wire, and that's what we saw today. Edo Queens showed good character. I was saying, let's see what they can do against defending champions, Delta Queens, and then they went away, got that 1-1 results. That's all they needed to advance from Group B, and they did just that. Rivers Angels, Edo Queens, and Bayelsa Queens. You know, I think those were the 3 teams are called, you know, to make it. I would have loved to see FC Robo Queens also, but I think they didn't just do enough to get there. We talked about doing more to get the women's game out there. The Super 6 is a good avenue. It's one competition that the Nigerian Women's Football League, the Nigerian Football Federation, the Ministry of Sports Development, everyone that loves women's football, this is a time to come out because we're about to crown a new champion of the Women's League. So everybody come out to follow it, and I think that should do just enough to give it that attention that we want it to have, Yemi.
All right, Damleju, your thoughts. Do you agree with those who feel that women's football has not gotten the kind of attention maybe a season or 2 ago? Information at our fingertips. It's not really so with this particular season. But like Austin said, Super 6 is an opportunity to spotlight women's football.
I think there are 2 schools of thoughts. There's the fact that women's football is not getting as much attention as men's football. There's another school of thought that women's football is getting more attention than it used to. And both of those things are true, but I like to go with the improvement that we are seeing. we now have more eyes on women's football. Yes, there's still improvement. We still need to put the NWFL out there more so that the average Nigerian knows exactly who these clubs are and the players that play for them. But I'm really excited for the Super 6. I think I'm only disappointed the fact that Delta Queens, who are the defending champions, I expected a lot from them. They were not able to make it through. Shout out to National Amazons and Heartland Queens, who were not in the Super 6 last season. They are the two teams out of these 6 that were also not there last season. They've been able to show some level of improvement. I understand why Austin had a soft spot for Rubu Queens qualifying. They needed a 5-goal victory to be able to upstage Bayelsa Queens. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But I think we have the best of the best in Nigerian football here. And whoever comes out of this gives themselves a good chance at the CAF Women's Champions League.
All right, we'll see. We need to start flexing our muscle if we're the giant of women's football. It should reflect in club football. All right, let's talk about the men now. Nigeria Premier Football League. I'm talking about Friday's fixture, tomorrow's fixture. Very important for Remo Stars. Rescheduled game today. Rivers United. Of course, 2-0 victory over Katsina United. Some people have said Rivers United will start picking those points, and before you know it, they will be up there. But, of course, a game in hand is nothing until you win it. So we'll see what happens. But they've won this one, it must be said. Rivers United defeating Katsina United. Then, Remo Stars with an opportunity to climb up. They're playing at home. They will want to be in that top bracket, possibly top 3, top 4. And a victory in this game might just do that for them. It's a match day 32. Let me allow you to talk about these two before I yield back to Austin. Your thoughts, Rivers United, how far can they go? They have, I don't want to say a trailer load of games.
They have about 5 games in hand on the team that is top, and they are 14 points off. So if my math is correct, if they win their 5 games in hand, they go to first. But we know it doesn't quite work like that in the MPFL. I'm really, really excited by what they did in this particular game, because there was a man in the Katsina United squad, Idoko, who had scored in 5 consecutive MPFL matches going into this one. And despite the fact that Katsina United had not scored in any of their last 4 visits away to Rivers, I thought, okay, maybe Idoko will be able to break that jinx. Rivers United were resolute in defense. The first goal they scored, Katsina United's defending was all over the place in the box. You had 2 people being able to pass the ball to each other in the box. So for Rivers United, they've moved up 3 places now from 15th to 12th. The target will be continental qualification. We know they were our only team on the continent this season. CAF Confederation Cup exertions are gone. Let's see how far they can go. For Remo Stars, it's an important game at home. They've only dropped 1 result. 13 wins and 1 draw so far this season at home. They need to keep up that form and consistency if they are going to be as good as they were when they just returned to the MPFL. All
right. Also, what can we say about Remo Stars? A lot of us rooting for them because we want to see more of privately owned clubs giving us the right vibes. I mean, being well organized and achieving things that doesn't look like a fluke. They do it this season, try to do it again the next season, and they have a chance to climb up with a win, playing at home against Niger Tornadoes.
They are 5th on the log with 50 points, and if they win, they can climb up to 2nd position, just behind Rangers, who are top of the league with 54 points. So if they win against Niger Tornadoes, they get up to 53 points. That's if Aimba and Lobby Stars and Plateau United don't get to win their fixture. So it tells you how competitive the Nigeria Premier Football League is. And before we just say, oh, it's Remo Stars versus Niger Tornadoes, so it's going to be easy. No, Tornadoes, they've been silent achievers this season. For instance, they are 10th on the log with 42 points. If they upset Remo Stars, they can climb to about 8th or 7th on the log, because Caterpillars is 8th with 44 points. So yes, they can climb up to 7th if those other teams don't win. So you see how tight it is. But Remo Stars, we know when they need to win, particularly at Okene, they get to win. So let's see how they can bounce back. Let's see them show some character, because it's getting tighter at the top now, with Rangers going away, scoring goals a lot. Even when they are not winning, they put pressure on you. Aimba, if they are not winning away now, they are getting points. So for Remo to keep it going, they must keep pushing. And there's another consistent team called Lobby Stars. So now, any opportunity, particularly when you get to play at home, you need to take it. And I think Remo Stars can do it. They got to where they are because of some games that they picked up draws where they shouldn't have, and then lost a lot of away games during the second stanza If you turn them around to what shooting stars have done, if they had put up the sort of performance the shooting stars have put in the second stanza, they'll probably consistently sit on second position. That's the MPFL for you. If you're not winning on the road, try not to lose, and then make sure you win your home matches.
All right, interesting. Also, we're coming to your backyard now, and we're talking about the English Premier League. And now, just because of one loss, everybody's saying it's a 2-horse race. I kind of don't agree. Still 4 matches to be played. Anything can happen in football, but it's now being dubbed a 2-horse race. And so we'll see. So that brings us to focus on the remaining matches that Arsenal and Manchester City have. I'll just quickly go to the screen. Let's start with Arsenal, a North London derby with Tottenham. Not a very good place to go when you need 3 points. They'll be up against Bournemouth. That's on May 4th. Sunday, April 28th. This Sunday, they'll be up against Tottenham in that one. Yeah, and next one on May 4th is Bournemouth. So let's talk about the remaining ones. Just 4 matches for them. They'll be up against United at Old Trafford. And of course, they will also, their last game will be against Everton. You don't need anybody to tell you that the tougher fixtures is for the Gunners. And let's talk about Manchester City. Remaining games for Manchester City. They're currently trashing Brighton as we speak. It's a hiding, it's a hammering. That's what they're doing. But then a lot of people feel there's some difficult places to go. Nottingham Forest do not want to return to the lower leagues. It might be a difficult place to go. They'll be up against Wolverhampton Wanderers on May 4th. So we'll see what happens with that one. Other matches involving City, just 2 more. Fulham, they'll be up against Fulham May 11th. And Tottenham. Tottenham is a bogey team for Manchester City. Even at the height of their powers, it's always very difficult for them. But that's if the league is still being fought for till that time. And, of course, their last game will be against West Ham. All right, Damloju, let me quickly come to you this one. First, do you agree that it's not a 2-horse race?
Yes, I do. So before what happened with Liverpool against Everton, they had about a 13% chance, according to some of the bookies, of going on to win the league. After that defeat, it has reduced to about 3%. And that is because they won't be chasing one team. They'll be chasing 2 teams. And then these teams, they've shown this season to be more consistent than Liverpool. Liverpool have been very, very inconsistent. They've been wasting a lot of chances. So I think Liverpool will finish 3rd. Now to go to the 2-horse race between Arsenal and Man City. First of all, like we saw last season, the pedigree, the know-how, the calmness, the consistency points towards Manchester City. Arsenal are leading for over 200 days in the Premier League last season. They bottled it. That is one side. Secondly, I think, like you said, Arsenal have the slightly trickier fixtures. There are some teams that both teams get to play. They're both playing Wolves. They're both playing Tottenham as well. And then if there's one thing sports fans want, they want to be part of, if not the sole contributors of why Arsenal failed to win the league. We know that the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is a nightmare place for Pep Guardiola. But I just think Manchester City, you can realistically see them beating every single team that they play to the end of the season. 2 more problems for Arsenal. They get to face Manchester United. United are a traditional rival. They will not want to lose to them. And then on the final day, they play Everton. If Everton need that result to stay in the Premier League, it will be a battle that is fought tooth and nail. That's why I think come the end of the season, City will still be champions. All
right, you've answered all the questions I would have loved to ask you. And you've said things a lot of Arsenal fans would not love to hear. All right, also, I want to get your thoughts. And please, feel free to elaborate on this. A friend of mine told me, and I kind of agree, Manchester City have not won anything yet. That must be emphasized. Everybody seems to say they're going to win 2 titles. But this is football. We all know they have not won anything yet. Until they do, it's still a 2-horse race. Do you agree?
I agree, and it might just even hurt them some more if the FA Cup doesn't go the way they are thinking that it will go against Manchester United. If you look at the fixtures, there are fixtures that Manchester City can come out, and if they try to be complacent in any way, we'll be talking. For instance, the Fulham tie is a very tricky tie. When you go to Craven Cottage, it's very tricky. If that game ends maybe 1-1, it will do something to the table as long as Arsenal keeps winning and Liverpool also keeps winning. We got to this stage now because of what happened to Liverpool against Aston Villa and then the result that we saw yesterday. It was the Merseyside derby. Remember, I was telling Damilola when he was so confident that Liverpool would get it done. And I said, this is the Merseyside derby where anything can happen, and boom, they lost it 2-0. Arsenal won't be here if Arsenal had not lost to Aston Villa at the Emirates, I think 2 weeks ago. That's football. So everyone is looking at it now, saying, oh, it's Nottingham Forest next for Man City, it's Wolverhampton Wanderers, and then it's Fulham. Crystal Palace has gone to the Etihad to win. We've seen that over and over again when teams go there and then they think that they can't get something and something will just happen. But we understand why people are saying it's not a two-horse race is because when Pep has sight of that trophy and they're on top of the league table, it's difficult. But this season we've seen shocking results, and I think we're going to see more, particularly if players start getting tired. The only thing that I know will work very well for City now is because they're out of the Champions League. If they were still playing in the Champions League, I would have said that more shocking results will come back. But let's see. I mean, let's just hope that now that it's two teams that everyone is saying is chasing the title, that Arsenal will not, lean back and then we'll just give it to City. We want to see this title race go down the wire. That's why to the next I was even rooting for Liverpool to keep winning. Let the three teams keep winning. That will mount more pressure on City with all of their confidence. Because look, people, if I try to analyze City, I'll see you're beefing on City. They're like, okay, we'll watch them win the league 4 times in a row. So let's give them some competition. Even if it means they need to sweat it on the final day of the season, I will take that, Yemi.
All right. Let's leave it at that. We'll see what happens. We'll keep monitoring. But let me get your thoughts. U-turn, dramatic U-turn. Xavi Hernandez, okay, I'm going to leave at the end of the season. Then whatever happens behind the scene. Laporta gets to get him in a room. They have a conversation. Yeah. Both come out and say, I'm still going to be here till 2025. What do you think was responsible?
I think I want to borrow one thing that you said here today, that you just never know what will happen in football. So after a 5-3 loss to Villarreal, it felt like Xavi felt all the wheels were crumbling and then he didn't have a full control of this Barcelona side. And from the reports that we got, he didn't feel totally backed by those above. Barca in a financial mess. He felt like some of the youngsters that he's working with and some of the things that he's creating will have to be uprooted because they will have to generate funds by selling players. And then they go on a 13-match unbeaten run from that 5-3 loss to Villarreal, and things are looking a lot brighter. Yes, they lost El Clasico, they were knocked out of the Champions League, but they were able to close the gap. At a point, it was all about Girona. Barca became the closest team to Real Madrid, and they had a crucial meeting yesterday. And in that meeting, the sporting director, Deco, accompanied Xavi to go and talk to Juan Laporta. And from the discussions in that meeting, it feels like Xavi feels more confident now that, okay, we're singing from the same hymn sheet, and his contract was supposed to end by the end of next summer. So why don't we just keep this marriage together? It looks like we are at a better place. It happens in even our personal lives where, okay, there's a bit of an issue with someone and then you guys get to fix it to an extent and you get to move on. So I think the good news here is for the Barca players, the youngsters, the Lamine Yamals, the Gubasis, the Fermin Lopez. These are the players that have been able to come into the fray because Xavi has decided to trust them, and I think this will just be a building block for them for next season.
Well, Austin, I mean, it's dramatic because I didn't see this happening. I even thought that they respected Xavi to allow him come out and make that announcement while still on the job. If he wasn't a legend of the club, it wouldn't be treated that way. Then just, I mean, something happened like W just said. They're singing from the same hymn sheet now.
Yeah, I think was it last week you and I were trying to understand this Barcelona situation. Sometimes you just need to call people out, Maybe he's been asking, show me the way forward. Let me know the plans for this club. What are we doing? This financial mess. It's a boardroom situation. But what do I need to know as a manager to keep it going, And he's been vocal, Closed mouths don't get fed. So maybe just, if I need to let this club know that I really want to work for them, but I also need to know if they want me to work for them. So he came out, made an announcement, and everyone said, okay, come. Let's sit down and talk, because whether or not we agree, Xavi has brought some level of stability, some level of respect. We're beginning to talk about Barcelona again. They're beginning to believe. I thought they were fairly decent. This year, the UEFA Champions League, they were unfortunate to lose the way they lost to PSG. That's El Clasico game. I thought they did just enough against Real Madrid that are enjoying good form at the moment. It's trying, with the tools that it's got, is making good use of them. So I think Barcelona and Xavi, they can both work together and take this club back to their glory days. So it was important. He came out, made that noise or threat or whatever it is, and now back saying, look, I'm staying. This is my club. I'm a legend. I can help them turn things around. I think it's a beautiful way to end that drama for Barcelona and Xavi. That's the show. In London, just before I go, it's still Brighton 0, Manchester City 4, and that's how it's going to end. In London, I'm Austin Okonak, and in everything you do, remember, let's keep talking sports. Bye for now.
All right, this is a wrap here in Lagos. Before we go, I want to thank Oluwadamile Tusali for his time on the show. Let me extract a promise. We'll do this again some other time.
Oh, definitely. Just shoot me a call.
All right, that's the show today. We do hope you've enjoyed everything we've been able to bring to you today. Still one more edition for the week. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.